Welcome back to Sell It with Belle, episode 30, where we continue to build perspective and knowledge through the stories of our guests. Today, we got my man Baron Belle over here. He participates in running a couple marketing agencies. Very exciting. He has his own apparel line. And man, you're staying? It sounds like you're staying busy these days.
I do stay busy for sure. Yeah, I keep busy.
Man, I want to dive into it because I feel like you can, for the viewers, I want the viewers to get out of how they can really maybe start growing their business through, marketing techniques and stuff. Because, in all honesty, that may be the biggest struggle. Like, people have the idea, but they don't really know how to, grow it and gain an audience. And, I feel like this episode in particular is very exciting because I feel we'll be able to offer some of that to the guests with whatever they're starting.
Yeah, I think this episode is going to be really valuable for like a lot of people that may or may not know a little bit about marketing, or like they have some intermediate knowledge about marketing. At the end of the day, there's marketing that works and there's marketing that's kind of 4 or 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But really what matters is understanding what the core principles are, and then applying them in a way that's relevant today in today's digital age, So, we're gonna talk all about it. I'm really excited to get started and
right.
to contribute.
For sure. I'm sure you went through just a lot of trial and error just to become sufficient in the area of marketing in itself, correct?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So I want to kind of take it back. Where did you start off in this journey of life, man, to become a master marketer? Where did you really start?
So, okay, let's bring it way back. Let's talk
bring it way back.
Way back. We'll talk about those intentions, were there kind of what shaped me as a person. So let's go back to, I came to Canada when I was about 4.5 years old. I came here with my parents, with my sister, and it was my parents' second time migrating. They actually left Russia initially. Long story short, KGB was after them because they, had money, and they were using their money to house like Jews that couldn't afford to feed themselves and afford shelter and whatnot. So they had to leave all their money behind, go to Israel, start from scratch. Hated Israel, obviously, because it's stressful living in Israel, obviously. So after some time there, they decided to leave. They left a lot of what they had with their parents. And they came again with nothing. They started from scratch twice. It's hard for me to fathom that. But I could see it in their work ethic. My mom went straight to school to top up her knowledge on, to be an architect, like a really good architect here. My dad was working 2 jobs. He was a janitor at a bakery. And then he was also looking to see, okay, can I find investors that are willing to flip homes, that are willing to buy properties, build custom homes, sell them, and so on and so forth. So he was just doing that left, right, and center. He was trying to build, make connections and establish relationships. And I just saw them hustling, dude. Like, my parents were barely home when I was a kid. I was at home mostly with my sister, which was kind of nice because when I was 8 years old, she went to university. So I had a little bit of, living with a sibling, and then a little bit of, I'm an only child. And I got to develop my independence that way. So that was really great. But yeah, dude, they were hauling ass. They were really hustling, doing everything that they could. And they started working their way up, saving money. They started flipping homes themselves. My mom would design, my dad would build. It was like synergy, And I was learning a lot. I was learning a lot from them, not just from what they were doing, what it takes, the grit, the resilience, the passion, the intention, but also, just the sacrifice that goes into it, to be relentless, to chase after something with sheer unrelenting force, to really push beyond your limits, to obsess, because it's oftentimes for a lot of people where the trajectory changes, where that inflection point occurs, is where they really begin to obsess about what they're doing. So I learned that, and I began applying it. So it's funny, it happened kind of randomly. So I was a kid, and I was going to school and playing Call of Duty. I was playing Call of Duty, dude, and I got pretty competitive. I really liked gaming, so I joined this clan and we would like do trick shots. I don't know. Did you play Call of Duty?
Of course.
Like Modern Warfare 2?
Modern Warfare 2, obviously, but the big one I was hooked on was MW3.
Okay, yeah, that one came a bit after. So MW2 was like my shit. You know,
that was
like
prime.
It was prime, dude. It changed like everything. So I was playing that game, and you know, you were doing like 360, opening up your fucking Predator missile, tack knife, whatever, all this nonsense, you know, and then shooting someone die, and you know, you put that on YouTube and it gets views. So we started doing that, and then I started kind of getting creative with it. I'm like, I like music. At the time, I was listening to like liquid dubstep and D&B and whatever, trance. And I was like, let's get this music, let's get these clips, let's make a montage. And I saw other people doing it, and I'm like, okay, like this is a good opportunity to start doing it. So I did it. And then YouTube became monetized. I didn't make much out of it, but it was like my first sort of online doing something kind of shattered my expectations of how you can be successful, right? Like my parents were doing this and you know, they're in this place, they're in a physical place, and everything that they're doing, they have to go to a job near where we live. And you know, there's these investors that my dad is trying to talk to, and they are in the vicinity. You know, like he doesn't have a website. He's not doing any marketing. And then here I am making a couple bucks online, playing games.
Crazy.
Wild. You know what I mean? And it changed my perspective a little bit. So one thing led to another. I'm like applying for Schulich School of Business, dude. And I'm like, I'm going to start a blog, you know. I was working out a lot. You know, I was intermittent fasting before it became a trend, and I started writing about this stuff. You know, I'm like, okay, well, here's what I know about intermittent fasting based on these blogs. Let me just share this information with other people and tell them how I'm applying it. And, you know, people can sort of follow my journey. It was called The Journey for Strength. And I was talking about meditation and all this stuff. And people found some value out of it. People really appreciated it. I was talking about how I was breathing when running, like, and how I sort of figured out, like, this is kind of, you know, a way that is helpful for me to breathe. And so that happened. And then I went to school, and my entrepreneurial journey kind of just flatlined because school was a lot. And I was double major in finance and econ. I was going to be a banker, getting all these some credentials and the CSC so I can, you know, enter the retail and do all this stuff. And school kind of killed my creativity. It killed my entrepreneurial spirit. But there is one thing that it did give me, one really massive thing. And I recommend this to anyone. If you're going to school, make sure you're really making the most out of it. You're not just going to school, taking classes, going home, but go to school and immerse yourself in the culture. Try to contribute. Try to be a part of it and lead some change. So I ended up joining council, Vanier College Council. I don't know if you ever went to York University, but it was a pretty phenomenal experience. I learned a lot about leadership. You know, there was about 14 people on council and 8,000 people that were running events for, like whether they're academic or social events and whatnot. You know, we had an office, and like people were welcome to come and join. We would study together. We would do all kinds of stuff together. So that also changed my life. And then, obviously, I went to a rave. My first rave, I went to a rave, and I had a life-changing experience. And it also opened up my world. So there's all these things, like I know it sounds a little fragmented, but there's all these things that kind of contributed to shape me because I saw sacrifice, I saw perseverance, I saw dedication and obsession. And then I also was able to work with a lot of people to do a lot of great things in a leadership sort of role and to be empowered, to empower others. And then I had this experience at a rave where I was like, man, people are really awesome. People are great. I just want to help people. I'm just an empathetic guy, and I want to use my grit to inspire other people to have grit. I want to learn as much as I can and then transfer that knowledge so I can help other people build themselves up like I've been building myself up. And then I got my job at the bank. Killed my creativity again, man.
Worst decision?
Not the worst decision, because I'll tell you why. It verified to me that life is not for me.
And that's actually a plus.
Yeah, a huge one. It was a big benefit. I went through it. I was in the what was it called? They had like a spotlight. Essentially, it was like the quarterly spotlight for being a top performer, and I didn't really feel good about it. And that was kind of a red flag. I had my branch manager telling me, "Oh my God, you should be so proud of yourself," and I wasn't. You know. Right? Like, why am I not, why am I not happy? Yeah, but literally, you know, like, why am I not happy about this? And it's just fundamentally because of what I was doing, you know, like my actions were not aligned with my identity and my beliefs and my values. And I realized that. And then come my, you know, one of my best friends, Kingsley. He was going to school, not happy with what he was learning. He was well above. He was going to OCAD at the time, but dude, he was far beyond like a lot of people that he was, you know, studying with in the graphic design program and advertising. So he came to me and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to start a digital marketing agency." And I said, "Dude, that's awesome. You should do it. You know, like, you know, that's amazing. What's digital marketing?" He's like, "Well, you know, you should definitely look into it, you know, like, here, let me show you." And he pulls out his phone and we're on Facebook and Instagram, and he's like scrolling on Instagram, and then an ad pops up and he's like, "You know, this is paid for." And I'm like, "Well, who's paying for it?" He's like, "This company." And then he goes to the profile and you're like, and he tells me, he's like, "This page is getting managed by like marketers." And it hits me. It's like, I didn't even think about this, you know? And then I go home and, dude, I am just, this is a new avenue, you know, like this is, I'm
going to indulge myself in this now.
Exactly. I open up my laptop. I just start researching SEO. Okay. Websites, whatever. Google, Facebook, Instagram, Shopify. People starting e-commerce businesses, working from home, 20K a month, 30K a month. What's happening? This is crazy. You know?
That's what you see, though.
Yeah, and I was still in my dress shirt and dress pants. It's like 4 a.m. I have to go to work the next day. I still have to study. I have like exams that week. I remember this day, dude. I close my laptop and I'm just sitting there like, what am I doing? 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 So I go shower, I get dressed, and I just pulled an all-nighter. It was terrible. And my branch manager can see that I'm a little unmotivated. So I'm like, "Elham, I'm going to be honest with you. This isn't for me, you know? Tell me how long you need me until we can find someone else. You know, it's not a 2 weeks notice. I'll stick around for as long as you need me to." So I stuck around for like about 6 weeks. And then I dived right in to the digital marketing agency with Kingsley. We co-founded Strawberry Media. Over the course of about 3 years, there was a lot of learning, a lot of growth, a lot of trial and error. From the beginning, I mean, it was just a period of time where you could do almost anything and it would work because it was just so cheap to advertise on Facebook, on Instagram, even Google. It was very affordable. You could get tons of impressions, CPMs, like cost per milli to reach 1,000 people. It was like, I don't know, man, like $5-10. Now it's like $20-25, depending on what you're doing. They might even be more competitive. I have clients in the States right now, like I'm paying $25-30, you know? And, but at the time it was totally different. We opened up some Shopify stores for ourselves. We bootstrapped. I picked up the phone, called people all over the city.
Don't you just like, love cold calling?
Dude, I hate it. I hate it so much. I did it too much, man. Sick of it. Cold calling sucks.
All those phone calls, just you hear the sound of it clanging back up. It's like,
But you know what? Cold calling taught me a lot. And, you know, when I do have a kid and they want to do any sort of, I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs say this. Yeah, my kid's definitely going to do door-to-door sales. Everyone says this, you know?
I'm not giving them no money.
No, like my kid's going to hustle. They're going to get doors closed on them. They're going to cry, drop to their knees and be like, wow, I hate what I'm doing. You need that, you know? You need that in order to, you know, transcend to the next level. Cold calling was important. Would I have done things a little bit differently now that I know what I know? Yeah, probably. I would probably not look so, just Toronto. I would like branch out. I'd probably run more ads, and get some, some inbound leads. But at the time we were bootstrapped, so we got some clients and a lot of people were doing well. We were building our portfolio. We were hiring people from abroad. And Strawberry Media went well. COVID happened. We lost a lot of our business in one freaking day. And then we started running ads, US, UK. We started closing clients, another paradigm shift, and then, as things went on, me and my co-founder, we didn't agree on, how we wanted to move forward. But like, we really value our friendship and we respect each other a lot. So we're like, let's not continue without each other. Strawberry Media was kind of like our project, our baby, and we were successful with it. Let's close this chapter and then start the next one. So that's what we did. I worked at a real estate organization. It's Toronto's first fully integrated real estate organization where they do development management, project management, marketing, and sales, essentially for developers, like launching a project from zero to hero. They had an in-house sales team, and they brought me on board. I built an in-house marketing team. I was the marketing director at Faro. It was a fantastic experience as well. We grew really, really quickly last year. And then again, I kind of thought, I am helping all these clients on the side. I have consulting clients. I'm constantly helping people grow their business, set up funnels, make sure things are working, run lead generation campaigns that actually, produce results. And I was doing great last year. And I said, I want to go back to doing that. Like, I really want to continue helping businesses grow. I want to help entrepreneurs, business owners, people that are just working and they need my help. Why would I not offer my help to people that need it, So that's when Aesthetics came along, and it's very recent. Aesthetics is super recent. It's kind of funny that you reached out to me now because I just finished setting up everything on the back end. The funnel is done. Website's tip-top. If you want to check it out, adsthetics.co. That's a digital marketing agency, a niche digital marketing agency where I help people essentially generate high quality leads for their cosmetic clinic or aesthetics practice or med spa at the lowest possible cost, and then convert them on autopilot in the background by use of a funnel. And that's really important now. We can talk a little bit about that as well, why a funnel is necessary nowadays. It was totally optional like 5 years back, but now it's absolutely necessary to have it. So yeah, there's a lot to say about aesthetics.co for sure, but that's pretty much my story and how I ended up here. Yeah.
How he became an asset to basically any business that could basically utilize a marketing agency, which is probably every business in the whole world. Mm-hmm. But it's nice to see how you were kind of built up from like your parents migrating twice with nothing. It kind of feels like your characteristic traits may have been built from maybe an earlier age, and then you kind of struggled to kind of find your path, going to school and then, leaving the banking job. I mean, so when you're in your room and you search up SEO on your laptop and stuff, like there's something there, there's something more there. So can we like maybe dive more into like that area? When you go shower, you come back, like what's next?
What's going on in my head?
Is it just pure trial and error? Like I have to master this, or?
So at the time, what we did was we went straight to learning. I went into like learning mode, just absorbing.
Straight YouTube or Google?
YouTube, Google, a lot of different websites. We found some mentors. Some of my biggest mentors are like, and again, you want to find mentors not necessarily around you, but the best mentors in the industry or the vertical that you're in. So some of my biggest inspirations, I'll just start naming them. Kat Howell for Facebook ads. She's a master. She's an absolute master. She has her own academy where she teaches a lot of people how to run their own, social media advertising company. Then there's Sabri Subi, who is just massive. He has this book, Sell Like Crazy. I'm sure everyone either has heard of him, has seen his ads, but he is so talented. He does direct response copy, and he also introduced the idea of funnels way back. And then There was Chris Do for creative direction. He's a good one. He's got an academy as well called The Future, where he teaches creatives to start their own business, whether they want to be a freelancer or they want to run their own agency. He was a really, really big influence. And then there was a lot of different authors. Like I started reading books, even aside from learning specifically about the minutia of digital marketing or lead generation or e-commerce ads on social media, all of that stuff, organic growth hacking, all of that, like growth marketing, there's a ton. Before I went into, while I was learning all of the technical details there, I was also reading books. I was reading The Principles by Robert Cialdini, and then Persuasion when it came out. I was reading the 7 critical principles of digital marketing by Qasim Aslam, which is just massive. He's got like the best Google Ads agency, one of the top rated Solutions 8. And I was reading all these books, and then Sell Like Crazy by Sabri that came out, and I got it right away. There's all these different books that I was reading, and I started compiling everything that I was soaking in. I'm like, okay, what do I know? I know that technically these things are working, but anything can happen. Any sort of algorithmic change in a platform, Apple says no more cookies, Facebook, Google, goodbye. And they're, obviously they're going to launch their own advertising. That's why they're doing it. But this is a huge shift. This is like a huge change that's happening. So a lot of people that had so much technical knowledge before, now suddenly they have to go back to the fundamentals, which is why the fundamentals are so important. The principles of persuasion and influence in order to, and not only understand how to sell something, but how to amalgamate sales and marketing and make your marketing more effective because it also sells, and vice versa. How to now add marketing into the mix. And the principles are just extremely important. So I started writing, because I'm a creative guy. I like to write. So I started writing. I created resources, free downloadable, ebooks for people to download. If you want to download, you want to learn about Google Ads, or you want to learn about Facebook, Instagram ads, you can actually go right on my website, baronbelalov.com. And there's 2 guides there, freely available. We used to charge them back in the day when we offered them from Strawberry Media. Some of the information there might be slightly outdated, but most of the fundamental information is still very, very relevant. And so I did that, and I'm doing it now as well. I'm offering a ton of resources. If you go on adsthetics.co, if you own a cosmetic clinic or a med spa, you can go on there. You can learn about some of the most massive technical changes you can make to your PPC strategy in order to actually get them to work. And you can see some do's and don'ts of Facebook ads. Don't use the word Botox, all this and that, how to get around it if you offer it, and a ton of stuff. So I like to do that. I like to learn and knowledge transfer. And I think to some extent there's 2 reasons as to why. And you kind of hit the nail on the head. There's, within the confines of principles and the fundamentals, if you start applying some of these strategies into the way that you communicate and build relationships through marketing, then that is going to help you greatly. So, what are some of these principles? If you're looking at, for example, digital marketing, empathy is a huge principle, right? Because in order to speak to your target audience, you have to put yourself in their shoes. You have to know what they're thinking in order to write direct response copy that speaks to their pain points and offers a solution. So you have to empathize. And the way that I grew up essentially made me very empathetic, and it translated into the way that I, put myself out there and the way that I build the online presence for my clients and how that works. And, so it's definitely kind of translated just the way, my entire upbringing and sort of what I'm doing today. And I would say a great deal of success I can attribute to all of the lessons that I learned on the way here. It's made me stronger, better, much faster, and definitely more efficient.
Right. I like how you mentioned all of the mentors that kind of helped you pave your own path, taking little bits and pieces from them. It's clear that like you're always educating yourself, especially just like when you're trying to become a master in any topic. I mean, that topic can be broken down into so many different verticals where, you know, there's a master of each. What's your kind of opinion on that? Do you think you should be specific to one and kind of master that and kind of like have a general knowledge of all of them? Or are you more so, you know, I'm just going to do this one thing and anything else, someone else can do that?
That's a really good question. That's a really good question. So there's pros and cons to niching down. Everyone says niche down, niche down, niche down. Everyone says be specific, do one specific thing, get really good at it. Because if you do, then you'll be that person. People will know you as that guy or girl, and they'll come to you. There's pros and cons to that. There's also pros and cons to actually doing the complete opposite. So there's a lot of digital marketing agencies. They're finding their clients in all these different industries because they're not niche down. So you might grow a little bit faster. Or you might actually grow a little bit faster if you niche down and you offer one specific thing, but you do it really, 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 really well. You speak to a specific person. You hit the nail on the head with the direct response. And you start growing your clientele from there. Even if you're not doing marketing, right? If you're an esthetician and you do something like tummy tucks or liposuction or fillers or something like that, you could be the lip girl. Or when it comes to beauty, you can be the girl that people go to. How are you going to grow faster? It really depends on how you do it, but you could grow fast either way. You could definitely grow faster if you give everything and you learn practically everything, but then you'll be a jack of all trades, master of none, or so they say. I don't know. I don't necessarily think that it's black and white. I think that it's a little bit more gray. It depends on you. It depends on what kind of business you want to grow, the empire you want to build. Depends on how far reaching you want to be, how much impact you want to make. You know, if you were doing, like right now, for example, you're doing this podcast, it is speaking to a certain audience, but it's not super specific.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're not speaking to a specific gender.
Right.
You have guys and girls on your podcast. You're not speaking about a specific industry. You have people coming on board, contributing real estate, sales, marketing. So if somebody is watching this podcast, they're getting a lot out of it. They're getting a little bit of sales, a little bit of marketing, right?
So how do you think I could push that to, like, and if we're talking marketing, how do you think I could grow my audience?
So that's also a great question. So marketing is really important when it comes down to it. Marketing is sort of, I would say now more than ever before, marketing is the gatekeeper of commerce. Digital marketing is the gatekeeper of commerce. And that's a lot. That's a big claim to make.
It's big words.
Huge. But if you think about it, somebody sees a billboard, right? This isn't digital. They see it in real life. They see a billboard. BaronBelalov.com. Aesthetics reviews. Testimonials, right? Stuff like that, right? They're going directly on their phone. This thing has changed everything. This thing is as if laptops already. This thing really has changed everything. And we can see it. If you actually look at how much revenue Google has generated in the last couple of years, it almost doubled.
Interesting.
They were making so much money, dude. And it almost doubled. So I think for you specifically, anyone who has any sort of podcast, when it comes to marketing, let's talk about the principles. I think now is kind of actually a good opportunity to talk about it. You have to look at the fundamentals. Don't get, distracted. There's a 1,000,000,001 people out there on social media, gurus telling you, hey, if you just give me a second, I'm going to show you how I made $20,000 using Facebook ads and Shopify in the last 2 weeks. And then you download this thing, and then there's an upsell. It's $200, no problem. You download it, you learn the same shit everyone else has, and then you start a Shopify store, and you get lucky. You find a magic product. You do everything right. You just make this video that somehow is a hit on TikTok or something, and you make $20,000, and $18,000 of it is actually operations and the product and the advertising, and you're like, $2,000, man, I went through a lot for that $2,000, right? So don't get caught, by all these gimmicks and all these social media gurus. Look at the people that are talking about the fundamental principles. So let's talk about that. How can you grow any business today with any sort of marketing? This is like very broad, but these principles work. So, first of all, there's the principles of persuasion and influence, reciprocity, give without expecting anything in return necessarily, right? So, reciprocity, social proof. Do people dig it? If they do, I might. Trust, authority. Well, this guy's, he's got some testimonials. He seems to carry himself well. He's got some followers. Okay, he's got a lot of episodes. People are coming on his podcast. Who's coming on? Oh, these guys. Oh, I know that guy. Oh, that's cool. Maybe I should listen to that podcast, right? There's liking. Do I like what's going on? Oh, cool. Nice studio setup. There's Yoshi on a right? Like, that's freaking awesome. And that's cool, right? So that obviously contributes a lot. Consistency. Is he constantly banging out content? Is he talking about what he's doing? Is he talking about his values, his beliefs? If he does, he stands by them. If she does, she stands by them, right? So and then unity. Unity is a new one that Robert Cialdini talked about in Persuasion, which is a more recent book than the Principles, the initial one he wrote. He added unity. Unity is really important now, especially. It's not just about social proof where, okay, if they like it, I might, but it's also about community. That's why a lot of people that are growing their brands online, they're also starting Facebook groups and all these different Slack channels, Discords, right? They're getting people on board. This is huge in the NFT space, huge in the metaverse. Communities, bringing people together, having these conversations. What are you talking about? Anything. There's tons and tons of communities. If you feel like you are a part of something greater, you are more willing to contribute, and you are also more willing, to give, right? So these are the principles of persuasion and influence. And you can take these principles and you can put it into everything you do. If you're writing a caption, you try to leverage some of these principles. If you're making a podcast, you're trying to leverage some of these principles. What are you doing? You're a lot of reciprocity, dude. I don't know if you're monetizing this or not, but this is tons of value you're giving to people for free. Like, dude, you're coming in here, you're investing your time, energy, money, and you're making it happen. Like, that's huge, You're not asking for anything in return. You're not telling, I didn't pay to come on here.
Right.
You're not yet, right?
I swear you didn't.
But there's you're not putting ads yet, maybe. So the fact that you're doing this, it's already big. And then just being consistent, all of that jazz. Now, aside from the principles of persuasion and influence, there's more specific principles. Like if you look at the principles of digital marketing, which Qasim Aslam actually talks about. Shout outs, Qasim. You're awesome. He mentions, that empathy is one of the fundamental principles. Because when it comes down to a digital marketing, and this is especially important right now because digital marketing just spans the entire funnel of an organization, from sales to close to renewal and ascension, and I'll talk about that too. But, you have to be empathetic. You really have to empathize, put yourself in your target audience's shoes and provide them with value. Another principle he talks about, just like reciprocity, in this set of principles, you've got, over here, lead with, always lead with value and end off, give value first and last, essentially, is one of the principles. And this really works because this is how you build a relationship with your target audience. Digital marketing, a lot of people think advertising, you're pushing your messaging. But you might be going the wrong way about this if that's the way you're thinking. You don't want to push anything. Digital marketing is about pulling. It's about building a relationship, reeling people in. How do you reel people in? You give them an ad that captures their attention, generates some interest. They go on a landing page. They read what you have to say. It's speaking to their pain points. It's relevant. Now they're considering what you're saying, right? We're looking at the original funnel: awareness, interest, consideration. Then what comes after that? Awareness, interest, consideration. Hold on. The decision. So, do I want to do this? Do I want to pay for this? $5,000. This is going to cost $5,000. Can I dish out $5K right now? I don't know. Well, what is it going to give me? Can I expect to put in $1 and get $3 out? So if I put $5K, maybe I'll get $15K out and I can keep going. And then the close, right? So you're doing all these things in your funnel, and then it also extends. That was the original sales funnel, but then there's more. There's service. You have to make sure that what you're doing is really good, because anybody can pick up and go to the next guy tomorrow if they wanted to. It's never been easier to do that. Your relationships, you have to keep on building them. You have to keep giving people value, engagement, right? There's software platforms that I use for my business, and I'm constantly getting tips from these people like HubSpot, The Future, all these different subscriptions I have. It's 2022. What fundamental things do I not know by now after being in marketing for 5 years? Well, what about trends? Right now in design, gradients are really trending. I didn't know that until I actually got a newsletter about that earlier this year. Actually, towards the end of last year, they foresaw this sort of trend that was, a lot of gradient, a lot of color, not as much, like dimmed down natural colors as before. Now you're seeing some brighter stuff. NFTs, right? All of that. You're seeing brighter companies. You look at Shopify's Instagram, literally right now, you scroll down, you'll see muted colors. You scroll back up, you see bright gradients. Sans serif fonts, those are coming back. Before everything was a little bit straight edge, very minimalistic over the last 2-3 years. Now all of a sudden we're getting all these different design trends. So you have to engage, right? Even after the awareness, interest, consideration, all of that, the sale, you have service, you have engagement, you have to continue to stay engaged. You have to keep giving people value. Having a newsletter is huge. And I'll actually go back to the newsletter aspect, why that's so important. And then after that, you get the renewal, right? If you stay engaged, people continue on, they want to continue working with you. So you renew your relationship. If it's a subscription, a retainer, you renew that relationship. 2 years, they want to update their website, even though they just did it today. In 2 years, something might change. They come back to you to update that website. And then after renewal, you have ascension. Okay, this has been working for you really well. You've been listening to my podcast and you've been reading my newsletters. I hope that I've been giving you a ton of value. And maybe if you want to buy my course where I teach you the principles of selling, whatever, it's only $99, but it's a really, really smart investment for you down the line, like whatever. If you want a consultation, like we can sit down, we can do that for $250 an hour. I don't know. You know what I mean? There's a lot of opportunity to monetize, but the ascension is what comes last. And then you go back to the very beginning, awareness. You make them aware of what it is, what else it is that you can offer them. You generate interest. Oh, I can generate more success by, learning how to sell with Belle, right? All of that jazz. So understanding what the fundamental principles are, it's going to make an absolutely drastic change to the way that people approach marketing, sales, starting, growing a business, generating success. And whatever happens, man, whatever happens, Apple, Facebook, this, that, whatever tactics change, new platforms, TikTok, whatever's next, anything that happens, it doesn't matter, because these fundamental principles, they're always going to stick. It's about human psychology more than it is about one platform over the other or one tactic over the other. These things are they're more so inelastic. They're there. They're the foundation. If you do these things, you will generate success somehow, right? So yeah, that's what I would recommend.
Holy shit!
I know, massive value.
I just feel like I just got masterminded by a master marketer himself. That's crazy. I mean, you just spewed out so much game. I mean, I'd have to go back and watch it just to capture every single thing. But I mean, one thing that was clear, I mean, there's just so much psychology. You're talking about, the trends, just fonts and stuff. I'm not thinking about the fonts when I post. I mean, but there's trends in everything, fashion, I mean, markets. I never really thought as deep as marketing, but I mean, whatever you said, Saha fonts coming back, I guess.
Yeah. That's good.
Man, it's crazy how, you were just with your friend, you decided to, co-found Strawberry Media, and now you're just spewing this out like it's nothing. It seems like so much behind the scenes. I guess now I just want to find out more about Strawberry Media. First, I got to find out, where'd the name come from? Why is it called Strawberry Media? And then how did you kind of build it up?
So Strawberry, that's a pretty good question as well. Kingsley came up with it. Kingsley came up with a logo. I thought it was genius. It was simple. It was perfect. It was a strawberry S, just a red S with some seeds on it, and then the stem was an M. And I saw that, and I'm like, dude,
it's so fire,
right? I'm quitting my job, and I don't like. I've asked him a couple times why Strawberry Media, and it's funny because a lot of people have asked, and he told me like a couple different reasons why Strawberry, but people kept on asking. And you know what? That made it memorable. Why Strawberry? Exactly. Right? But you're going to go home and you're going to remember, Strawberry, Strawberry. Right? There's that agency that for some reason, Strawberry. Nice.
It's all psyche.
Right? That's all it is. It's differentiation, swimming in blue waters. If you have a name of your company, this is pretty fundamental stuff too. If you are thinking, what do I call my company? What do I call it? Do I call it chairs and tables? Do I call it water and bottles? I don't know. What do you call your company? Well, the name of your company is actually really important. You want to have a name that's a little bit more differentiated, at least in some extent. Why? Because I have seen a billion digital marketing agency websites, a ton, just tons and tons and tons, dude. I can't remember what all of them were called. None of them really sticks out to me. Maybe there's a few, but barely, because there's all these other ones that are like, I don't know, computational, whatever, like Vesa Digital and like all these whatever. There's just a ton of these different names. But when it comes to branding, when it comes to the name of your company, when it comes to the logo mark or logo type that you use, when it comes to your messaging, the way that you speak, what you say, you want to stand out. You're never going to please everybody, so don't aim to do that. Don't aim to be, to please everybody, to be politically correct even with your marketing. If you look at some advertising campaigns that have come out recently that were a little bit controversial, you look at KFC. Due to supply chain issues, they ran out of chicken. They put out an ad, a bucket, just a red background bucket, FCK on the bucket instead of KFC. We're sorry underneath. And then they explain the supply chain issues. How many people probably got offended by that? They're like, oh my God, KFC's putting fuck on their thing. Like, that's crazy. Some older people watching, I'm never eating KFC again. Go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like, KFC doesn't give a shit. But they put that out there, and what did it do? It generated a ton of interest because it was controversial, right? There's a ton of campaigns from a ton of big brands, big companies that are differentiated. They're different. They're controversial. They stick out. They're unique. And you'll remember those ones instead of the billions of other ones that you've seen. Because, dude, like with social media, you're scrolling on your feed. You might not even realize how many ads you're scrolling by because you're just scrolling, right? On Google, you make a search. There's 6, 7 paid listings on that entire page, 4 at the top, 3 at the bottom, a bunch in between. You don't even give a shit about, to be honest. That's why I'm telling people, don't forget about SEO. Right? Just forget about it. And you want to have a really, really good funnel. That's where you get the revenue generating machine as a really good funnel, and then email marketing so that you can engage, renew, and ascend. Now it's important, especially more than ever before, because, there's no more tracking, right? So if you see an ad and you click and you go on a website and you don't convert, for that company, that's a lost opportunity, because it's much more difficult for them to retarget you if you told iOS that you do not want to get tracked by these apps. And right now, 96% of people decided to opt out of getting tracked.
Wow.
96% of iPhone users decided to opt out of that.
Holy.
Yeah. So there's a lot of brands, a lot of companies thinking, what do I do? How do I reach these people now? You know, like I had this whole crazy retargeting thing where I would show them this ad first, and if they didn't convert on the website, I would show them another ad, you know, all website visitors who watched 30% of this video, I'm going to retarget them again, and I'm going to show them this. You can't do that anymore. Now you actually need to generate leads. You have to have an email marketing funnel that's going to convert people in the background. It's more important than ever before to have a funnel. But whatever you do, whether it's ads, emails, website, messaging, the name of your company, the brand, you absolutely have to be different. You have to stand out. It's the only possible way. You have to be different. Yeah.
Wow. Strawberry media.
Yeah, right.
Let me ask you this. Since you're, I saw the Yahoo, I read through your Yahoo feature actually. And you know, you spend a lot of, the whole basic, thing is going around how you kind of capture someone's attention while they're scrolling down. You list some basic points there, and you know it's really interesting. So I was wondering if you could just maybe break that down right now. If I'm scrolling down my phone late at night, what's going to make me stop and really take in an ad, and what's going to make me click?
A pattern interrupt. So if you're scrolling, I assume you're thinking social media. You're running an ad on social. This is huge for you, actually, by the way. This might be. So if somebody's scrolling on social media and you want to do some sort of a pattern, you need a pattern interrupt. What does a pattern interrupt mean? The pattern is the scroll. This is the pattern. And you need something to interrupt that scroll, right? You're scrolling and then, oh, what the fuck is this? Right? So you need to lead with some sort of a pattern interrupt. A pattern interrupt is anything that looks native to a platform. You know, it looks like it's meant to be there, but it's wild. It's crazy. You know, it's, you know, maybe it's a supplement company that Joe Rogan has worked with, and the picture is nothing to do with the supplement whatsoever. Nobody's working out doing anything. There's nothing health related. It's Joe Rogan just like clenching his teeth and like whatever. And like it's just this specific ad that I saw. That's a pattern interrupt. You're like, what is this, right? The first thing that stops a scroll is the picture. That's the pattern interrupt. So it has to be something outlandish enough to actually get somebody to stop scrolling. Same thing with Google, by the way. If you have 4 ads at the top of a search engine results page, let's say you search liposuction Texas, and you see 4 ads at the top. Plastic surgeon in San Antonio. Get liposuction near you today.
I'm not clicking.
Free liposuction consultation. Feeling fat? Get your free consultation. Some are coming in 2 weeks. Something like that. What the heck is this? Right? Some people might get offended. They're like, I can't believe, how dare you? The audacity. Click. Right? That's a pattern interrupt, right? That's how you get people. So that's the first thing, is the pattern interrupt. What follows the pattern interrupt? Okay, you caught someone's attention. There's awareness. Now you need interest. All right, so what are they doing next? They might look at the headline first, or they might go to the caption. The likelihood, based on data, they look at the caption first. So they scroll up, see more. Here's a massive tip. Huge tip. Huge social media advertising tip. Your first sentence has to be also pretty outlandish. If it is a quote, even a quote that you create, coming from the mindset of your target demographic, as if your target demographic is thinking this. Wow, I can't believe this agency actually generated me a return on my investment for the first time with social media. What's this? Aesthetics is yada, 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 right? Or like even do direct response. You speak a little bit more directly to them. Aren't you tired of working with agencies and ripping your hair out, trying to figure out, what can you do to grow your business? And you spent $2,000 on Google Ads and you didn't even generate any leads out of it. And you really hit the pain points. You talk about it. And then slowly and steadily, you see the solution, right? The solution to the problem that you're having. And then the headline actually sells the click. So the pattern interrupt is extremely important. the caption is vital to actually get the person to generate enough interest to make the click, but the headline is what actually sells the click. David Ogilvy said, I think, I can't remember exactly what it was, I'm totally going to butcher it, but he said essentially, when you write your headline, you are and I can't remember what it was, but essentially your headline is about 50 to 80 cents out of every marketing dollar you spend goes towards the headline. So if you have a really good photo, and it can be, again, an outlandish photo. It doesn't have to be some professional photo. It has to look native. That's the trick. It has to be native. It has to look like it belongs on that platform. So if you're advertising on TikTok, you're not putting a static image there. You're also not doing anything that looks like it was really well, with good post-production, whatever. You should literally pull out your phone. Like, hey guys, you just give me 10 seconds every time, I'm going to show you how I made $20,000 using Shopify. And like, it worked really well because it looks native, right? So that's the first thing that you do is the pattern interrupt, then the caption, but the headline's actually the most important part of the ad. And it's oftentimes the last thing that people see, not on Google, but on social. On Google, it's the pattern interrupt also. It's even more valuable. But on social, the headline is what's actually going to get people to click. It's the click seller. And what are some tips there? Have some numbers, something logical that people can wrap their heads around. I lost 15 pounds before my wedding in just 6 weeks using this. Or do not run your own ads until you read this. Right? People love being told what they shouldn't do more than what they like to be told what they should do. People hate being told what to do. So these are like sort of the small psychological tactics that really work on people. But at the same time, like, I will say this with like a disclaimer, massive disclaimer. Attention is extremely valuable and it's extremely, extremely valuable. If you are getting somebody's attention, really be mindful of what you're doing with it. So don't sell bullshit on any of these platforms. Don't make false claims and headlines. When you're speaking to people's pain points, be careful about what you say and how you say it in the copy. Like, I don't condone messages of negativity, or anything like that. Yeah, sure. Do not run ads until you read this. Why? Because this will help you, right? Like, so always have good intentions when you're doing these things, because people can see that. They can very clearly see that in your advertising. So yeah, that's how you get people to stop scrolling.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
Guys, for the viewers, I mean, this is just huge game from a guy who does this on the back end of himself. I know there's tons of people watching now that want to build something for themselves. Maybe they have ideas. I mean, these are proven results. This guy has all the back end analytics, I'm sure, but these are performance-based results that you can literally apply. I know myself, I'm going to go back into the episode and literally take some of this and write some of this stuff down and really see how I can leverage it to my own advantage. And I feel everybody watching this should do the same. I know Baron has a lot of free stuff in his bio on his Instagram. That's going to be linked down below. But man, I think I got to wrap this up there. It was honestly a pleasure to talk to you, pick your brain about it. I'm sure it sounds like you could go on for like 5 more hours. And man, I definitely would have to sit down with you again, and I'd love to, just to get the opportunity to, dive into other areas or, pick your brain on a couple other things. That would be a massive, massive positive.
I'd be happy to. Yeah.
Man, one last time, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, bro. Thanks for having me on. I think what you're doing is great. Keep it up. Stay consistent. You're killing it.
Thank you so much. Guys, that's Baron Belle. That's episode 30. That's episode 30. We're in the 30s now. That's kind of crazy. Episode 30.
Nice.
I'll catch you guys next week, though. Next Sunday. Every Sunday, I'm dropping the pods. So stay up to date with those, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Hey.